Hi everyone, I'm going to be talking about chapter 4, at least the first part of it. And chapter 4 is concentrating on consciousness. So, how do we alter our state of consciousness? And what happens when we sleep? Things like that. So, starting with sleep, there are 3 stages of sleep and then the REM stage. Let me switch my slide here. Yep, there we go. So to begin with, it's got the definition of consciousness up there. So that is having an awareness of basically what's going on around you, of having thoughts, sensations, being able to feel things. That's how you know that you are conscious. You are able to sort of reflect and identify what's going on around you or happening to you. So when we sleep, that's considered an altered state of consciousness because at that point you aren't necessarily having that awareness of what's happening to you. You aren't thinking, obviously. And yeah, so there's 3 stages. This slide has the first 2 on here. Basically, stage 1 is really fast, and it is the transition period from being conscious, being awake, and then moving into sleep. And what we see with brain waves are low amplitude, so just like really short, rapid brain waves. And then moving into stage 2, this is a deeper sleep. When you're measuring brain waves, they become slower, so less rapid, and then just sort of even out. They're more regular waves. And then for stage 3, this is our deepest sleep. This is when also, like it says, we're least responsive to outside stimulation. And I really like this chart here so you can see kind of what the different brainwaves look like at the different stages. And so you can see that like the stage 3, like the brainwaves just, there's a large variation between them. And I believe it takes about 90 minutes to go through these stage cycles. And then so lastly, after stage 3, we enter REM sleep. And so REM stands for rapid eye movement. And let me move this, see that better. So this is the 4th stage, but most people call it REM sleep instead of stage 4. And this takes up for adults about 20% of our sleeping time. And this is where most dreams happen. Everybody dreams, even if you don't remember what happened in your dreams, your brain was still working and producing those. And what else? So this is a point of time where our heart rate actually increases, our blood pressure increases, how we're breathing increases, and then of course, because obviously it's called rapid eye movement, we know that there is our eyes are going back and forth when we're in REM sleep. So why do we sleep? Well, we know it's required. When we have tested rats and we completely sleep deprive them, they die. So we know that sleep is necessary for animals and humans. How much is required really varies on the person, though. I'm sure you all even know that some people can get by with 4 hours and function completely fine and it's okay. And maybe you are somebody who needs like 7 hours. And if you don't get 7 hours, then it is hard for you to focus at night. I think the term that like, at least as long as I can remember growing up, it was like, oh, everybody needs 8 hours of sleep. But that's not really true. People function at different levels with a different amounts of sleep. And the other thing that they found is that as you get older, you also can function normally with less amounts of sleep. So as people get older, the amount of sleep that they need decreases. And I think so one of the things that when I was in college and we were studying sleep, they really highlighted how important it was for younger people to have more sleep. That's when you need the most amount of sleep, is really in your teenage, like young adult to teenage years. So from 12 to 18, people really need a lot of sleep then. And there was some talk in the school districts about switching school start times. So how it was set up where we were was that high school started the earliest, and then middle school would start, an hour after them, and then elementary school would start an hour after them, or something similar to that. And they had talked about sorry, Kenzie's making noise. They had talked about switching the start times because littler kids do better waking up in the morning and tend to have more energy. And so they said it would be better if, it went elementary school kids start first, and then high school kids could start the latest because they have the hardest time getting going in the morning. And I just remember feeling really frustrated because it didn't pass, and it's we have the science that we know would be good for people, but we aren't implementing it. That's frustrating for me. Okay, the function of dreams. This comes back to Freud, as I'm sure you're probably not surprised if you've heard of Freud before, and his unconscious wish fulfillment. So basically, Freud believes that we have these innate desires about hunger, sex, aggression, and all the motivation for those desires come from our unconscious. And obviously one of the biggest times of our unconscious is sleep. And so he really believed that our dreams would tell us what motivations we have and how we can fulfill our true desires if we analyze those. I think most of the time, that's not something that maybe the majority of psychologists take seriously anymore. I think there's definitely something to be said about dreams. We know that they have a purpose. There's something that our bodies, because it's universal, so every human dreams. It does serve a purpose for our bodies, but psychologists just aren't sure exactly what that purpose is yet. And I don't think many of them would necessarily attribute it to this unconscious wish fulfillment theory. Some people believe that it's because it's a way for us to process all of the information that we're stimulated with during the day, and kind of gives our brain a chance to move things into long-term memory. It might be a way for our brain to organize information. There's lots of different ideas and theories out there, and the answer is basically just nobody knows for sure yet. One other thing that I want to mention that I don't think the book said was that that might be relevant to you. If you are trying to study and memorize a lot of information, we know for sure that the best way to do that is if you do it consistently in small pieces. That's hard for college students to do because I know you all procrastinate until the very last minute. But if you could do it in small pieces, that's helpful. Also, whatever you want to remember most, if you go over that right before you go to sleep, all the studies show that you remember things that you study right before you go to bed better, versus if you study something earlier in the day. So if you're really trying to memorize something, look at it right before you go to sleep. Okay, so some things that can disturb people's sleep. Insomnia. So that's where people just have problems sleeping. That can be for a lot of different factors. But obviously it's something that has to be taken care of at some point because people can't have long-term sleep deprivation. Sleep apnea, you may have heard of that. This is where people basically stop breathing many times throughout the night. And the oxygen levels to your brain get so low, it like start to awake. Your body has to wake up so that it can start the breathing process again. But that doesn't mean that the person who has sleep apnea is actually consciously becoming awake all night. It's just something that their body is processing over and over again. And I think it can be up to like 500 times a night. And so if somebody doesn't know that they have sleep apnea, they can just feel really lethargic and tired because they aren't getting to those deeper sleep levels that they need because they're constantly, their body is forcing them awake. Night terrors, not super common with people anymore. I know that the biggest time in your life for having night terrors is, I think, ages like 8 to 11, around that. But I'm sure you have. Night terrors are different than nightmares. So nightmares are just, having a scary dream or something like that. A night terror is where you are awakened in extreme fight or flight mode. It's very scary. Some people might even wake up yelling. That's possible. But like I said, that happens mostly with younger kids. I don't know, these little icons, I did not pick those, so I don't know why there's a shot for the narcolepsy. But narcolepsy is where somebody goes from being fully conscious, like I'm talking to you now, and if I immediately went into REM sleep. So there's something about their body that is causing them to not go through the sleep stages and have that REM response at obviously inappropriate times. And then lastly, sleepwalking and sleep talking. Maybe you or somebody you know, maybe one of your siblings or something like that you've seen happen. It's also more common when you are younger for sleepwalking. Sleep talkers is usually pretty consistent throughout the lifetime, but usually those aren't like dangerous or hindrance in most cases. Okay, so circadian rhythms, this is biological processes that occur on a 24-hour cycle. So it's basically how humans have a sleep and wake cycle, and our bodily functions kind of follow this around the day. And by bodily functions, like it says on the slide, so our body temperature, hormone production, blood pressure, all of those change over the course of the day. And the book had a really great chart picture about which biological processes typically are happening at which point in the day, which I thought was really great. So yeah, like I'm sure maybe you've seen, if you've watched TV lately the past year with like commercials, things like that. There's a drug that's out right now, and it's for people who are blind, and because they don't get the light sensation from knowing light tells our body about sleep cycles and waking up and stuff like that, because they're not getting that input, they can get off the rhythm, and so something about the drug helps regulate their circadian rhythm system. But yeah, it's interesting. So the next piece is about hypnosis and meditation. Hypnosis is this sort of trance-like state where you are sort of, I guess, susceptible to things people suggest to you, stuff like that. I'm going to get cut off in just a minute because I'm almost at 15 minutes, but I think you all have heard of hypnosis before and recognize what meditation is.